Dan Vann, welcome to the More Than Cricket podcast.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, we were just talking about the old podcast setup.
Yeah.
Obviously you're with your one online, so you obviously have to tee up the people and then get them to organise their camera and that sort of thing as well.
Yeah, and that can be tricky because you've got not much control over this side of things.
No.
So we've had a few issues with that. We've had some at our end that you don't even realise, and then you go, oh man, I was super loud, I was super quiet, and you've got to adjust it. But yeah, I've just found online is just easier getting the people. It's easier to get them, like after work, the kids are asleep or something like that, because a lot of them are ex-players who've got kids.
Yeah, that would make things tricky, eh?
And we did have, at one point, Alice is not doing it with me at the moment, but at one point we had Alice as well, so 3 people we had to line up, which makes it even harder,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So are the guests, are they recording their camera on their end and then
we use something called Riverside.
Right.
Have you heard of that?
No.
So it's basically Zoom for podcasting.
Oh, okay.
It's pretty good. You have to pay, but it's got AI inside it, so it can do editing, it can take the transcript out, it can give you the show notes done automatically. You can do like shorts out of it and stuff. So it is good once it gets going, but there's still glitches and stuff. But it just reduces it.
That would make things a lot easier.
Yeah.
So does that mean like when you're speaking, the AI will automatically cut to your camera and vice versa? Or
it can do that. Yeah, it can do that, and afterwards it can do that. And you can remove someone if they're annoying or if they're like a couple of times Alice has got both of us have got ADHD, that he clicks pens and shit like that. One day that we're doing James Marshall, he's like What a Lad podcast.
Yeah.
We're interviewing him, so he's a podcaster. So he knew we could cut, and he's like asked him a question. He goes, "Who's fucking playing with that pen?" And he was like, "Oh, sorry, it's my ADHD." And he's like, "Oh, bro, I was struggling with that for the last 10 minutes." So we had to that took ages to get rid of that, but just little things like that. So now he knows not to have a pen on him. He's like a fidget spinner or something. yeah,
that's so good.
Yeah,
because ideally, I think I'd like one camera on you, one on me, and one overall, and it all just syncs up. But the admin part. I'm hoping
you'd want an editor for that or something, or I hate that side of things. It's the worst part.
The technical parts, I'm just no good. Yeah. Even getting into social media and just I've never used social media before. Right. So even just starting with Instagram, what do I write here, or things like that.
Yeah, I reckon if you do a couple of shorts of each interview, just so people get a bit of an idea of, he talks about that. Oh, that sounds interesting. I'll click it.
Yeah.
Whereas if they just had the picture, what would they talk about? I don't know. Whereas Tommy's one, there's heaps of little gold bits you could just go,
I know.
That's good.
I've had a lot of feedback like that, and I just really struggle. When I've been in the conversation myself, and I'm engaged the whole time, I find it really hard to zone out and be that part particular.
Yeah.
I feel like I almost need someone to go through and
you have to rewatch it, eh?
Yeah.
That's another thing that takes time.
Yeah, but it's interesting, learning, seeing what you do. I haven't been too bad, and the one with Brucey, I really struggled to watch that back, just because I thought I was particularly bad, with umming, ahhing, and just stops in conversation. I
don't think people even notice that. I used to do it as well, but I watched that and I didn't notice it.
Right, yeah. Tommy G was really good.
Yeah.
Because he was just so open and just forthcoming.
It
must be nice when you get guests who almost just lead it themselves.
Yeah, I've had 90% of them being like that. I had Maz Quinn, and he was really I was like, oh, what was it like surfing with Kelly Slater? Yeah, it was good. He's pretty sick to himself, and that was it. It's oh, okay. Whereas Neil Maxwell was 2.5 hours, and I didn't even finish all the questions.
Yeah.
It was mad. He just talked and talked and talked. And it was really good, but you had to try and snip it down to a listenable length.
Right, yeah.
So, it is tricky. And we used to script it hardcore, every word, and we just sound real robotic, next question, and it was shit like that. So we've now got just bullet points, just to make sure we cover parts of their career or something that was important.
Yeah, because I watched a couple of brief points of yours, and it looked like you guys go on quite prepared. You obviously know.
Well, just if it's a good athlete and they've got some key things, I'd be pissed if or even there's the old one I still miss. And it's like, oh, I wish I'd asked that question. Yeah, so it's just trying to avoid that.
Yeah.
But we definitely do less scripting than we used to. Like, it was just robotic the first. But it was also having it there is kind of helps you feel a bit more comfortable. Like you're not going to get stuck for a question or you know. But it's definitely better if you can try and just listen and feed off them. But you just got to find out what works, I think. You know?
Yeah, well, that was the thing. Like, obviously, like I've never met you before, and it's do I like go on a deep dive, like look into all your stuff, or I'm like, nah, fuck it, I'll just go in, not knowing anything, and we'll just see what happens. But you've obviously been involved in cricket for a long period of time.
Yeah. So mine was a pretty untraditional cricket route. So I went to Linwood College with Te Aratai now. So not much cricket there. Like it's pretty much first 11's like. If anyone plays cricket, they're in, and then you've probably got to bring a pair of whites for a mate to fill in. So I left there at about. I stayed through to year 13, but didn't play cricket there for long. So I think I played 2 years, and then I think I had a season at Southern District, so you had kind of like a bit of a Northwest Youth kind of vibe. But all the leftovers from those sort of schools played together, and then my mate at Sumner. His dad played there, Ray Steele. He's he's in our Masters team. He's like 67. He's played about 1 million games. His dad was playing there, and he was playing third grade there. So we just started playing third grade as like 17, 16-year-olds. But the good thing about that, it was a pretty good cricket. It wasn't amazing, but it was decent. It was good enough to be, probably be like second 11 standard, I guess, for high school. The odd good cricketer and the odd average cricketer. But we got to train with the seniors, and at that year at Sumner we had some legends. Like we had Ben Yock, who played for Canterbury. We had like 5 or 6 like veterans from like. So you probably don't know, but back in the day it used to be suburban clubs and metro clubs. We combined about 7 or 8 years ago. Maybe.
Right. Yeah.
And it was quite a good grade because that grade was 12 o'clock start, covered pitches and had umpires. So you get a lot of older guys that go, I'm sick of playing full day cricket, but I still want to play decent cricket and still have umpires and covered wickets. So there's quite a few good players played that. And then when it merged, it kind of just went, it didn't go south, but it was just, we didn't have any point of difference in. We were just playing second grade cricket, it wasn't any different to everyone else. But anyway, I played there for maybe 2 years and then played seniors. I was the specialist fielder there for a while because our team was just loaded. And then I had this random game where we played Grant Elliott. So Grant Elliott they used to have, it was real weird, they had a year where they had promotion relegation. So metro teams got relegated to suburban. It was real weird. So Burnside had a year in there and Marist had a year in there. And that was the year Grant Elliott arrived in New Zealand. And he was rapid. He looks like a trundler in international cricket. But I was like batting jack. And they said, oh, can you bat 3? I was like, yeah, sweet, why not? Nothing to lose. He's a nice guy, but on the field at that time, he was an angry sapper. Abused me multiple times, got bumped like every second ball. I got 47, which is my high score back then, was significantly my best score. But I got none of them off him. I had a couple edges. I think I told him, I was a wee bit cheeky. I kept playing and missing, and he was like, fucking, you can't hit your shit. I said, well, bowl a straight one. He said, clean me out. And I had him down the ground. And then he nipped me off and gave me a send off. But that was kind of cool because that was kind of like, oh yeah, I can actually play a decent standard. And then I started batting a bit higher up the order. And then all of our older guys left and I became the like sort of oldest guy, even though I was 21 or something. And yeah, we just sort of carried on from there, so I played like 20 years for that team. So. Oh wow! Yeah.
Are you still playing today?
Yeah. So last year was my last year of our first team cricket, so it was championship back then. I think I definitely played 400 games, but I don't count what we finished on. But yeah. And then I said I was going to stop playing, and then a couple of other guys said they were going to stop playing, and then basically the team fell over. So that was a bit of a nightmare. It was kind of good in some ways though, because it meant I didn't feel guilty about not playing, like filling in, because I knew if I filled in it was going to be regularly and that sort of drama. And I actually loved playing Masters. You just turn up, have a hit, no warm up, no selection, no training, just, especially when cricket's your job, so it's like you don't want it to become a chore.
That's the thing, yeah. It's like coaching, like a full-time gig for you? Pretty
much. Like I started as a teacher, and I was teaching for 15 years. Then I went to England to play a season in 2012, and I worked for a guy who was, there's heaps of those coaching academies in England, and he was hopeless, and he had pretty good business going, and I kind of was like, oh, this turkey can do it, I'll give it a crack. And there wasn't too many people doing it in New Zealand. I think at the time in Christchurch, I think Mandy from Coaching Solutions had kind of similar. She was more like pimping out coaches to clubs and schools, but they did do one-on-ones and stuff. And I'd been doing some holiday programs for the club and stuff anyway. So that was a coaching gig in England, and I was like head coach of the whole club, coached all the junior teams, did holiday programs. So it was kind of like a taste of full-time cricket. I still did some relief teaching there too though. And then when I came back, I was just like, fuck it, just give it a crack. So I started it, and that was tough because I was working full-time and then trying to run a business and just doing a few hours each night, which I kind of was doing at the time anyway, but then all the business admin comes into it. And so I did it for about, I think 4 years. Then I resigned, and COVID turned up as soon as literally the year I resigned.
Oh, shit.
And I was like, oh no, this is not good. Or guaranteed income to not, but then luckily I fell into the bracket where they gave you that wee bit of money each week, so it covered the bills and stuff, and I just focused on it was actually really good, because usually I'm flat out just doing everything, and it was the first time we could just sit down and get some stuff done, do some admin. I put out a thing on Facebook about trying to do some mental skills coaching, like doing upskilling, and my mate, he's Richard Pithy, he's coaches at Canterbury, he's done some B's cricket, and I think is he coach Saints at the moment? Or
name rings a bell.
Yeah, he might be like, maybe he's not their head coach, but he might be their master of cricket or something like that. Or he might have moved on from there, I can't remember. But anyway, he's a South African guy. He passed me on to the Springboks mental skills coach.
Oh.
And he was running these online programs because he saw COVID, he saw opportunity. They were a terrible time. It was like 4 a.m. I had to get up, but there's nothing else to do, so it was fine. Just get up early and have a sleep later on. But it was really good because it was about, I think there was only 6 of us in the group, so it was all done on Zoom. And the other athletes were all Springboks or Proteas or like Olympic swimmer, rowers, or. But it was the best thing about it was actually applied sports psychology. So it wasn't just theory. It was like, okay, your athlete comes to you, they've got this, this, and this. This is how these are the tools you try and give them, and have a bit of a program about it. Because I've done a few courses where you come to these mental skills courses and it's like, oh, there's all this theory, but how do you actually apply it? So I did level 1 and level 2 online with him. And then we started a couple of online courses during COVID, and then now sort of mental skills is kind of our little point of difference now. So yeah.
Well, it's such a big factor, particularly in like cricket. It's so overlooked.
Yeah.
Particularly like in club cricketers. Like I've said so many times on this podcast already, just like how many talented cricketers I've seen. Like just have all the skill in the world, but are just not there with it mentally.
Yeah.
And it's just like a few tweaks that like can turn you from not scoring runs to scoring big runs.
Yeah. I think people just don't know who to go to or how to do anything about it, so they just kick along and hope for the best. But it's like everyone knows that it's such a mental game.
Yeah.
Golf, cricket, tennis, open are huge, and and I think also people are a little bit uncomfortable about talking about it. That's their biggest issue. So since then, we've actually started. I don't know if you heard of did I tell you about that guy Dave Wood?
No.
I think I mentioned
Yeah.
So I did his courses probably two years ago, maybe last year. Yeah, I think it was last year or before. Anyway, I went to that same thing, trying to upskill. He's Israel Adesanya, he's mental skills coach, Joseph Parker, Sale GP, Kai, all those UFC guys. He gets guys coming from overseas now too. It's pretty elite. So he does this real different though. So he doesn't do sit in the classroom. There's a little bit of classroom stuff, but it's literally go to Piha, chuck you in the ocean, chuck you in an ice bath, chuck you up the sand dunes, like just put you under big stress, and just try and make you as uncomfortable as possible, and then teach you the skills on the spot. Or so teach you the skills, then put you under pressure and apply it. So you actually get the feeling of it, but you don't feel like you're being, I don't know, I think a lot of people think mental skills coaching is sitting on the couch talking to a psychologist.
Right.
And that's what people don't want to do. So that's quite a cool way of doing it. We've started these workshops called Thrive Under Pressure, and they're really cool because they kind of cover well-being, performance under pressure, mental health. Like they cover all those sort of things, but it's not like, I think it's a little bit more comfortable way of doing it.
I think anyone who, I think there's almost like a negative idea around it in general. Like when you mention someone like, oh, maybe like your mental, like I feel like guys switch off maybe because they haven't had any kind of exposure to it, and it's probably not something that's like taught much in schools or anything like that. So, and my first real exposure to it was at uni. I studied sports coaching. Oh, cool, basically just to get out of home, study the easiest thing I could. I didn't really have a huge interest in it at the time, but the one paper that I did enjoy was the sports psychology side of things. Cool. And just like visualization and self-talk and but
most of them are such simple tools, right?
Exactly, yeah.
They just need like some direction and some accountability, and it's amazing how easy it actually is, but no one does it, or they avoid it, or they just don't know how to attack it.
No, and like even like I'd had pretty much the worst season of cricket up until a few weeks ago, and it was purely just because like I went away from what made me successful the previous season, and it was literally just like having a scattered brain while batting and like not having clear thought, and then literally just going back to like some batting notes from the previous season. It was literally, the switch was just every ball just saying, watch the ball, I'm looking to score, and just making sure every ball, that's what I was telling myself, rather than fuck, if this guy goes full, I'm going to buff him over the top, and then getting cleaned up, you know.
Well, that's the thing, like we have such, like, our brains are so like powerful and they have so much going on. If we don't give them focus, and I reckon the worst, like our brains have really struggled with downtime now because we've got phones, and like you think about the day, there would be no more than a minute where you're not stimulated, right? You're watching TV, you're running, you're doing something, you're on your phone. Like there's no time where if you go to the fish and chip shop, wait for your fish and chips, you're scrolling, right? There's no like downtime. So your brain's always like looking for something to latch to. So it's like so simple, just having those one thought, the keyword, just to keep you in sweet, like easy.
So is that, what sort of age range are you working with coaching wise?
Oh, so we coach, we have 7-year-olds is probably the lowest, but mostly that's like holiday programs and just fun stuff. And then we have heaps of 10 to probably 16, 17-year-olds, and then probably, I don't know, maybe 10 or 20% would be that 17 to whatever. We've even started getting these like masters guys because they've come back from cricket being a real good player, haven't played in a while, and then they're playing like Canterbury Masters, and they're like, I don't want to look silly, so so that's been cool. A lot harder to teach a 45-year-old though that's had 30 years of habits. And then we've had like, so probably our best clients got Ish Sodhi and Bernie Bazudenhout. So the reason we have them is because they both played, well at the time Ish is now at Canterbury obviously, but he was at ND living in Christchurch, and that's what Bernie does as well. She's in ND but she lives here, so doesn't have any coaches down here to work with. So at the time we were just with Ish. Actually Ish was over lockdown. I got messaging him about, what was it? I was just trying to keep social media going because we had nothing to coach, so we were just doing these silly like backyard challenges and stuff, and I was like, it'd be cool to get a black cap to do, lead it. So I messaged like Tommy Latham and Henry Nichols, but they're not really into like that sort of stuff. Okay. They're like, no, maybe try East State. Okay, so I messaged him, he's like, no worries, do it. Didn't actually end up doing it, but got chatting to him anyway. And then when lockdown went down to that level 1 where you could train outside by yourself, he messaged me saying, where should I train? I was like, I don't know, I don't live in Tauranga or Hamilton or wherever you live. And he's like, no, I live in St Albans. So I was like, So gave him a few places to train and started doing it by himself. And then when it got to that next level where you could train in small groups, he's like, should we have a hit? Just, get things, and started having probably 2 or 3 nets a week for about 2 or 3 months. Oh, wow. So I got to face him quite a bit, which was quite fun. I ended up being able to pick him quite well. Still couldn't play the like wrong and all the slider and stuff, but I could see it coming. So I was prepared to get hit by it. That was awesome, yeah, and we're good mates now, and he's helped us a lot with like just other stuff and doing like a masterclass for spinners, and he's a real good guy. He's had like clients who'll come in and give them a shirt, or he always makes time for players, and like he'll have a net and some 15-year-old will bat, and he'll like, do you want to have a hit, and he'll bowl him for 15 minutes, and if there's a spinner especially, he'll take time to show him how to bowl wrong in, or
that's awesome,
cool,
yeah. And was that sort of like your first exposure to higher profile athletes?
Yeah, which was massive imposter syndrome the first couple of times. So the first couple of sessions, I reckon I was literally just a bowling machine. I just go, yep, shot Ish, nice, good shot, bro. I didn't ever question him or anything, because I was kind of like, I'm just a club cricketer, how's I going to tell this black cat what to do? But after a while, you kind of just realise, like especially this podcast, so you just realise they're just good humans, are just good at sport, like. And the coaching's not any different. Like, I've been to a couple of Black Caps trainings now because I messaged Gary and said, oh, can I come have a look? Because there hasn't been much. Once you get to level 2 coaching, it's really hard to do anything else, like more upskilling. So I was like, I'll just come along. I've gone to the Kings ones a few times, and yeah, they don't. You realise you actually do less coaching at that level because they're already good, right? Their technique's decent. It's just more like questioning and giving them things to think about and setting scenarios and asking them what they felt or stuff like that. And so once I got over that, it was actually really easy. But yeah, the first few weeks I was just bowling machine and just go, yeah, shot, bro, nice. So yeah, that was cool, and it definitely gave me a confidence that he actually liked it and he kept coming back. So he was doing something right. So
that must be huge for the confidence, eh?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like a good coach is the guy who's probably not doing much coaching and is just sort of questioning and getting guys to think for themselves rather than just being like, do this, don't question me.
I think that's the worst thing, like over coaching people and telling teenagers hate that. Like I see that at trainings I have, like there's like at Boys High at Burwood where there's like multiple nets and there's other parents there, and you see some sights, man. Like literally, like there's some clients I've seen, or not clients, some people next door, and they're literally like an hour on one skill, and it's all directed, do this, do that, and every bit of feedback is what you did wrong. And I'm like, and this kid's like, this sucks. We can go home, Dad. And stop the attitude. And it's like, well, no wonder. It's like, and I was like, a couple of times I've had some mates that were there, and I was like, did you give your any praise in that session? Like, shit, no, I didn't. Like, they don't even realise, like I think it's most people like that with their own kids, like they're tough on their kids, but they don't realise. Like I always tell them, like try and coach them, like take your dad hat off and put your coach hat on, because you wouldn't coach anyone else like that.
No.
And I remember my dad like the same with golf. Like shit, you feel like you just got a wee critique sitting on your shoulder the whole time. Like, but yeah, it's just that, And I think they're reinforcing what they're really good at, and that because half the time it's just a confidence session. Like, I don't know why my son's got no confidence, and they come away from our session like, I feel 10 foot tall, but all I did was tweak a little thing and just give them heaps of praise. Like, it's not that hard.
No.
And they all can do. They can all play. Like, you can always find something they've done well, but people just look. And I think that's probably a coaching thing. Like, it's harder to point out what they're doing well than what they do. It's easy to point out what they're doing wrong, right? Just like yesterday I did a session at Burwood, and the dad or brother or whoever it was literally just to tell the kid to watch the ball. But there's so much else going on. I was like, I don't think he's watching. It's just he doesn't have the other things going on, So, but yeah, it's interesting.
And in your sessions, what do you start like with the mental side of things?
Yeah.
Do you teach that to all your clients, or is that just
pretty much. But the younger ones don't really need to be honest. Like, it's probably not till they get to early teens and 10, 11. Basically, as soon as expectations come in.
Right. Yeah.
So like, the results matter, and what scholarship they're going to get, and all that sort of stuff, and then all of a sudden doubts come in, and the parents are, and sometimes just teenage brains putting pressure on themselves. Like I've got some clients who've got parents who are real tough on them, and I've got parents who are super supportive, don't give a crap as long as they're just having fun. But the kids still put the expectation on themselves. Like one, I talk to them about it, like, why are you feeling this pressure? It's like, well, my parents have invested all this money in me, and they're so supportive, and I just want to pay it back. And I'm like, I just talk to them. They really don't care, or vice versa, like, oh, I'm just dreading the ride home with Dad because he's going to fucking grill me because I got out for 5, you know. It's like,
Jesus.
So there's always going to be something. So but I try not to make it real like obvious that it's mental skills coaching. I'll just sort of weed it in. There. Yeah. Because I found these Thrive Under Pressure workshops are quite good because I call them performance coaching rather than mental skills coaching, because the same thing, like they don't want to be mental skills or what's wrong with me, you know. So yeah, the way you market it makes a big difference. But yeah, I just try to wean it in little things like, what are you thinking? What's your mindset here? What's your thought, like what's your process, routines, and all those little things. They probably don't even realise it's mental skills coaching, you know?
Yeah.
So
do you find much difference between like working with a bowler versus batsman, like in their thought process?
Bit, yeah. I mean, batters are definitely like 90% of the time. It's like, what's your mindset when you go to bat? Don't get out, stay in. Watch the first 10 balls, so that sort of stuff. Whereas bowlers aren't so much worried about that. But yeah, I mean, everyone's pretty different. Like, to be honest, some people really surprise me what they're thinking. I'm like, oh, okay, cool, that's all good. Like, and yeah, so yeah, it is. It's all, everyone's pretty different. But,
yeah. And so you obviously work with individuals. Have you ever coached a team?
Yeah, a little bit. Oh, so I obviously did that team in England.
Yeah.
That was a tough gig actually because they'd had overseas players before, heaps of them, but never got a coach, and they literally. It was every situation was, you know, net, beer, get on the piss. And they wanted to change that culture, and I had to be the guy, and they were not keen to start with.
That's a tough one to change.
We want some fitness, we want some structured training. Like, okay, cool. So I had to weave it into like games and fun stuff. And so the fitness thing, like if we just said, right, I'm doing fitness, I they wouldn't be there, you know. And then we just made some like competitions, and eventually it was just about getting a few senior guys on board. The young kids were keen as, you know. It's just the old fellas that are, you know,
done for years and years.
I'll come for a beer and a net. That's all I want.
That's why I play.
So that was good. That was quite challenging, but it was good. We got there in the end, and it was a pretty good season. Especially the young guys, they did real well. And like, I still follow them, and some of those like Colts kids now, like in the first team, are doing really well. So that was quite cool to see. I've kind of coached their son of the team for years, but that's quite a tricky one. I actually really struggle with player coaching. It's like most of the guys are your mates, so it's that whole relationship's a bit tricky. And trying to get your own reps in while you're trying to manage the net and manage this and that. And people really aren't that good at like being, you know, like I'll give them a task and go over there and do this, and I want it to be done at this level, and then you go,
what are you fucking doing over there?
Yeah. So ideally, I wish I'd had probably another couple of helpers that aren't actually players involved, external people. And then school teams, I've done quite a few school teams. So my school that I taught at was Chizzy. So like I think the first year I was there, Kenny McClure. He was unreal. He's like the tiniest human ever. And I don't think I was coaching. I think I was the student teacher that year. And this guy was the coach, and he goes, "Oh, you got to see this guy." And I thought, that little guy, he's good. And he was unreal. Like just like, you know, he's like just his fast hands and just smashing it. And so it was cool to see him go on. And then we had this other guy who's that guy I was telling you about from the Phillies. So he doesn't even play cricket. He was a baseballer, and I saw him I was PE teaching, so we were doing rounders or some game like that, fielding striking game, and he was just incredible, like just pounding it and throwing. Like I'll show you a video later. He was throwing as a 4-year-old harder than most adults. Like unreal. He was throwing from the boundary where kids can normally like a relay throw. He was throwing it flat and either poling the stumps or the keeper's like, and it's gone for 4 the other way. So he's incredible, yeah, and it's pretty cool to see how far he's gone, because he's probably the most talented after. Like Kenny was probably close, but he was a cricketer, whereas this guy was literal just raw talent, like just incredible hands, fast. But he got trained pretty hard too, and I guess the skills are pretty transferable. But at the training, I said to him, "Oh, you know, you're going to be in the team, but they're going to bowl at your toes because they're obviously going to be good up here. And he was just, I'll just do this. And he just watched people and go, oh, okay. And then in the nets, he'd done his batting and yeah, you're pretty good. So he bowled pretty fast. He's a pitcher as well. And okay, I was like, you're hurting people now, so just chill out. And then he started bowling these slow balls at the back of his hand and was like, what the hell? He's like, oh yeah, I just saw old mate do it. And it's pretty similar to kind of like how you throw a change up and stuff. I was like, oh, okay, this is not fair. So yeah, I had that. Coached the year team. They had like this. They used to do this thing like the Milo Cup, which used to be like the Gillette Cup for kids. Yeah. That was funny because when I first started coaching them, I didn't really have much coaching experience, and I was literally all outcome driven, and I put all this pressure on the kids. Like, we've got to win this game to get through because it was knockout. It wasn't a great system the way it was back then. It was you had to win, and then you had to go on to play the next team. And when you play those first games, it would be like Chisnell, which got 800. Year 7 and 8 versus Belfast, who had 30 year 7 and 8s. So we put on like 300 and they get 27. It was like, oh, it wasn't a very good system. But and it was net run rate too. That was the other part of it. So it was like you were encouraged to demolish them. So it wasn't that. Thankfully, they've changed that. So and I've done a few metro teams as well. Yeah, so I've done a few metro tournaments, so like under 15s and under 12s. Oh, and then indoor cricket, I've done New Zealand under 15s. We went to the World Cup in Dubai last year, and that was pretty cool. We got second. And I took Canterbury men's, Canterbury women's, and quite a few like junior Canterbury teams and stuff like that. So I've done heaps of team stuff for them.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Do you have like aspirations to coach like first class cricket?
Sort of, to be honest. I just think it's such a fickle, there's only probably 10 jobs in the country. And yeah, I mean, I kind of want to. I think, to be honest, I'd rather now look to be like a mental skills coach in that role, or like an IPL mental skills coach would be a mean gig.
Pretty ideal, wouldn't it?
I did ask Bondi, I said to him, like, what's the sort of pathway to do that and stuff? And they said, you just got to back. They love like tickets, so you got to have qualifications and basically just some sort of proof that you've done a decent level or something. So basically you just said get some experience with good athletes and they'll start taking you seriously. So
that would be real
nice.
Yeah, like I'd love the idea of like coaching first class cricket, but like just the pathway, it seems like such a long process and also like probably not a high probability.
No. Yeah.
So it's like a lot of work for.
And then if you have a bad year, you might just get cut and that's it.
Well, yeah.
So, like I did my level 2 10 years ago. And then to get level 3, or whatever they call it now, you have to be coaching under 19 Canterbury team. That's the starting point. And then they'll put you through it. But to get to under 19 Canterbury team, you've got to be coaching the grow below that. And I just don't have time to do that because it's not like... It's a bit of a silly system, to be honest, but...
And I imagine pretty all unpaid roles to all those players.
They do pay you, but it's not a lot, and it's always in the middle of like the summer when it's like my busiest time. So I'd be like putting aside decent money for minimal money, which is like I don't do it for the money, but you need to run the business and pay the bills. So it's a bit tricky, and and the other thing is you do get jumped by people. Like Peter Fulton literally just came straight from playing, straight into and I've been 10 years like just battling away. So that's always going to happen. But he's been very good, obviously. So
I mean,
it is tricky.
Similar, like with like commentary and stuff like that. Like that'd be a great gig, but like it's always reserved for former players. And, just those pathways aren't that clear, and they're probably a lot harder than traditional careers, I guess. And so outside of cricket, you came from CrossFit this morning?
Yeah. So Michelle, my wife, she's a PT, and we kind of like dabbled in CrossFit for about 10 years, just for something different. Like we've always trained and done fitness and stuff. She's done all sorts, like coast to coast and the race and all that sort of stuff. And then I don't know how we got into it, but we used to live out in Wigram, and we went to the Rolleston one once a week just for a bit of a hoon, just to do something a bit different. It's quite, I don't know if you've ever done it, but it's quite competitive. It's quite good community and stuff. So we kind of dabbled in it, did it for a wee bit, and then we moved to Ferrymead 5 years ago. Then she started getting pretty bit more serious on it, doing it once a week. I think she likes it because she's in a traditional gym all day. It's her job, and then she goes there and she gets coached, and it's like completely different. It's not like feeling at work. And then I kind of like just kept doing it once a week, just dabbling in it. Michelle, I get a free membership at her gym, so I was kind of like, just that's easy, just keep doing that. But then I kind of started getting the FOMO because I do like these competitions, and they have this really good like everyone catches up, and each session you know there's 10 or 15 people in the group, and you have a laugh and chat afterwards. Really, at the traditional gym, you kind of just headphones on and you don't talk to anyone,
Yeah.
So I started getting. I'd come along to the competitions, and I'd be like, oh yeah, I can lift about his weight, and I'd be reasonably good at that, and I could probably do this. So I started doing them, and now I'm kind of hooked on it. And do the Open, and we're going to we went to Australia last year to do the Masters HQ finals, and so it's quite cool. It's what I like about it is there's a community, so you turn up and you know everyone there, and there's a bit of like connection. You have to book in, so you book in the morning, and I used to train in the afternoons, but I can't now because of coaching. And I used to tell myself I wasn't a morning person, but it's just bullshit. I just like sleeping in. But you have to book in, so it kind of makes you commit to coming. So if I did morning sessions at my other gym, I'd just rock up. I'll get there at 6. 6:15. Then shit, I've got to rush through my sets, and it'd be a bit shit. So whereas at 6 o'clock start, you've got to be there. You've got to do a warm up properly. They put you through the session. They keep track of your scores and your weights and your times for different workouts, and so there's a bit of accountability there. There's a bit of competition, and then the other cool thing I like about it is they force you to do stuff you don't like. So like I'm quite a good lifter, and I'm quite good at fast stuff. Terrible cardio, terrible at gymnastics. So I'll do real well in the lifting, and then the next session there might be a long cardio with some gymnastics. I'll get dead last. But I wouldn't do that unless they force me to do it. So it's cool. It humbles you, but it also forces you to do stuff out of your comfort zone. So,
we did it for pre-season cricket training 5 or 6 years ago, and just loved it.
Yeah.
And like I've always meant to get into it.
Yeah.
And I just never have.
Yeah,
but I've watched like a few of like the Netflix documentaries and stuff with Matt Fraser, and just like it just looks like me. Like I just love working hard for like a set period, and just like pushing my body and mind. And it just looks like it's I've heard it's not great for the body, like long term. Yeah,
I mean it is a wee bit tough, like impact wise and stuff. But I mean you can scale stuff, and it's not as bad as people say.
Yeah.
I mean there's some of those American gyms that they just push, and you can choose Like I know my limit, and I'm not going to go just because old mate's lifting 150. I'm just not going to try and double my PB. Like if you're an idiot, you'll push yourself too hard, So there's a bit of
But like the environment, like the community side of things, and it looks great because like I've just been at like traditional gyms for like 12 years, and I've just been in like my shitty like bro split for 10 years, like not change the things, just like boring and mundane, and even just like trying to change my training more recently to try and like get into like some sprint work. I'm getting older and losing that speed. That's been quite enjoyable, but I think like moving to that environment where like you don't have to think, you show up and they're like, you're doing this, and it's like, fuck, okay, cool, I'm just working hard, following the routine. Like it's just something I wouldn't force myself to do outside of that environment. So that looks like a pretty, but I mean it's expensive.
It is expensive, it's probably 60-ish a week, but I mean it's cheaper than PT, so it's pretty close to PT. I mean it's not like individual, but you do get coached, you do get the accountability of someone watching over you, and where were you yesterday, like, so I mean it's probably like a middle ground, I reckon. Like it's like initially I thought it was really expensive, then I'm kind of like it's pretty good value really for what it is. So
I mean if I did, I'd probably bloody do like 4 or 5 sessions a week as well. It's actually probably not that expensive.
That's it.
And how are the competitions?
They're interesting. Again, it's the same thing. Like I used to just do it for fun, and for fitness and all that sort of stuff. And then when the competitions come in, like there's all this little skills like double unders and toes to bar and muscle ups and stuff like that. That it's hard. So you just go, I'll learn that later. But when you do a competition, it's like, you have to have this, this, and this. So, okay, well, I'm going to learn that in the next 3 weeks. So, it forces you to do those things. So that was kind of cool. And it's just like, if initially the first ones are quite intimidating because you're like, all these people are going to watch me. It's quite weird. Like, you imagine if you went to the gym and just watched people work out, like, that would be creepy. But that's what happens at CrossFit. Like, but it is really supportive. Like, even if you did last, like, everyone gets in behind you and stuff. So it is cool, but it is a bit like, oh God, what if I can't do this, or I fail and fall over and look silly? But you can't just get over it and get better at it, and just. And again, like so the one I went to Aussie and there was 10 or 15 of us in the finals, and I was like, I just hope I can do it right, and I ended up being fourth. I probably should have got third. I fucked up the last session. There was this last workout was Fran, so it's 21 thrusters, 21 pull-ups, 15 thrusters, 15 pull-ups, 9 thrusters, 9 pull-ups. It's about 3 or 4 minutes work, just banging out as fast as you can. And I'd been training with my mate who won it last year, and I could beat him every time in that workout, and he's like the benchmark. So I was like, if I can beat him, I should win that event. And it was the last event. And he was, I needed to finish second or first, and the guy who was third needed to be a little bit less than that, so I could bridge the gap. Anyway, this other guy who was second at the time, he was pretty good at some random stuff. Like, I was like, oh, he's quite good, but he's a bit shit at a couple of things. Turns out he's a ninja warrior. So he's very good at like pull-ups. So anyway, I did the thrusters faster than anyone. It was kind of my jam, and then got to the pull-ups, and you know how you do the kipping pull-ups? So
yeah.
But if you're really elite, you can do these other ones called butterflies, where you literally just go like this, and he did them in about 3 seconds. It was ridiculous. And I just went, fuck. And stood there for like 20 seconds in awe of him, and like going, what am I going to do? I'm going to lose here. And then everyone passed me by. Then I got back on it, and I think I finished third, but I should have got at least second. He was always going to blitz me after I saw that, but if I'd got second, I would have. But it just taught me, like, you just got to stay in the moment and do your thing and not look at other people. But and then so there's a few workouts I did well, and a couple I did shit in. But, you just get better at each thing, and
so that was
fun.
Third overall.
It's kind of not it sounds like it's the third in Australasia, but it's not really. Like, it's a bit like, I don't know, like so the Open's the actual best in the world, right? And they have like a Taurian Games, which is the best in Australasia and maybe a wee bit of Asia. That's the official, everyone in the world joins. Whereas these other ones like Masters HQ, there's Masters League, there's all these people who just create their own little competition. And only certain gyms join it. So it's probably like, I don't know, 20% of the people in that area do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll take it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And has CrossFit taught you much like other mental skills within that?
Yeah, shit, yeah. Well, I mean, that alone, like, it's not so much cricket, but like just staying focused on what you are doing and not looking at the finish line and just getting, one step. Like, if I'm doing, like this morning was burpees and front squats or something, I'm terrible at burpees. I'm not terrible. I can do 10 super fast, but I can't do 100 very fast. So I just need to plod and just, keep up. Whereas if the guy who was, we had two groups, so we had to like judge each other. The guy who I was doing it with is like amazing at burpees, like little fella, and he just goes. It's like if I kept up with him, I would have burnt out and probably not finished the workout. So it's just kind of like, okay, I know my ability. This is the speed I'm going to go at. Doesn't matter if he's going faster or, and also just like doing uncomfortable things regularly, and like you just go, it actually wasn't that bad, and now it's like, oh, that's actually quite easy now. And I guess just seeing other people, like you see people like grow, like you get some people who come in and have never even worked out before. Some people have never done a box jump in their life, and they do a box jump, like, yes, it's crazy, like 60-year-olds, and
wow.
So I guess it's definitely built like a bit of resilience, and definitely pushed me physically, like, whereas normally I would just do what I'm good at, like a bit of lifting and bro splits sort of stuff, avoid cardio. So just doing realising that, you know, hard stuff's not as hard as you think, as long as you just keep doing it.
So have you sort of always been into your health and fitness, or is that something that's come with age?
Yeah, no, I always liked it. I reckon, I only worked this out recently, I reckon I went to normal college, so heaps of Samoa and Māori boys there, and I was in the first 15 for rugby, but I was a lock, I think, and I was probably 68, 70 kgs dripping wet, and all these Samoa and Māori boys are just like built. And I remember I was like 16 or so, and I was like, I just want to get bigger and stronger and be like them. So I started going to the gym pretty young, and I don't know why, but I was quite good at turning up and doing it. But I think that motivation was a fear of being the skinny guy.
Yeah,
I reckon. So it was weird that like it was kind of a fear that created that motivation, which I only kind of figured out recently. Because I had so many mates that were my gym buddy for like a month, and then they fell off, and then another guy like. So anyway, I did that, and then I just started liking it. So that just became something I liked doing. And then met my wife, and she's a PT, and she absolutely loves it. She's like obsessed with it. In fact, if she doesn't move, she's painful to live with. She broke her toe once, and it was like the worst thing in the world. So yeah, I just started enjoying it. It was kind of something we do as a couple as well, and and then we've just done different things throughout as we got older. Yeah.
Oh, nice. How long have you been with your wife for?
I think we met in 18, 19 years ago, but we've probably been married for about. Oh, it was our 10th year the other day.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. We remembered the year before, we both forgot our anniversary, but the 10 year we kind of we put it on.
How old are you now?
I'm just doing 40.
Oh, yeah. Do you guys have kids?
No, not really. Not probably going to do the kids thing. I literally have kids in my life every day.
Yeah.
So I quite like to just go home, park them, and
sure.
We've kind of fur babies. We've got we had a dog for 15 years. He just died recently, and then we started doing foster caring. So we got a foster dog to keep company for our old dog, and we got this guy. He's a pretty cool dog, but he's pretty full on. He couldn't struggle to get him in the car. Full anxiety. He must have been like either beaten up or left alone or whatever. But anyway, took him on, and then ended up needing pills like anxiety pills and stuff. So when they're anxiety pills, you can't rehome them until they're off them, which we didn't know at the time.
Right.
And then they said, so then our dog died. And I'm like, oh shit, this sucks. And then we still had the foster dog. And then they're like, oh, we're going to try and foster him out to a staff member just to see if they can put him out with the medication. And we're like, oh yeah, cool, but if it doesn't work out, we'll have him back. They're like, no, that's not how it works. If it doesn't work out.
Really?
We're like, okay, guess we've got another dog. So we've kept him, and we've just started doing like we fosters like in between. Like we had a little puppy recently, and he's just got adopted. That's quite cool. So that kind of our like swap for that.
That seems like such an extreme measure that they'd be like, we'll try bring him back. But if that was like, why could you not have him back?
Oh well, we could as an adopt him, but we couldn't foster him because I think the reason would be they can't have all these dogs that are unhomeable because they pay for everything, right? They're paying for the food, they're paying for the medication, and
that makes sense.
Just I know. So they don't normally actually tell you that. They're normally like, well, they don't because they don't want to press you into it, but they're like because they knew we wanted the good chance we'd adopt them. They said that, but yeah, it's pretty brutal. But yeah.
Ed, so your wife's what gym does your wife work at?
Body Fix. It's in Leeds Street, so it's quite a little. It used to be a little gym. It's quite big now, actually.
Yeah.
It's it's a cool little gym. Good little community there. I kind of, because I do CrossFit now, I only go there every now and then if we can't do a gym and session, I'll just go and do a bit of lifting or something. But
so it's just like a traditional.
Yeah, pretty traditional. They do a lot of classes. It's a lot of spin classes and pump and. All those sort of classes, and then just regular gym outside of that. Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah.
How's your cricket season?
Good. It's weird going from champs to masters because the pace is so slow.
So is that 12 o'clock start, 45 overs?
1 o'clock start, 40 overs. So.
And orange ball?
No, white two-piece. So it's a dream for me. Because I'm not quick, but I can swing it. But I'm red and green colourblind.
So am I.
Oh, really? Yeah, so red ball, I struggle a wee bit with, especially with no sight screens.
Yeah.
But I love bowling with it. But I hate bowling with white four-piece. But I love batting against it. So white two-piece is unreal. I can swing it, I can see it. So, like, actually, I played a season in Canada when I was like 22, and a guy had it over my head, and it was like Hagley Park of this area. So they keep the grass nice and long because they like it to look nice. It's landed, and I've lost it. I've run 5. As the first game as the overseas player, and I can't find a stationary ball.
Over there.
Who's this done? Yeah, so that was pretty embarrassing. There's a guy on the balcony had to point it out to me, and then you know what it's like. You can see it once you can see it.
Yeah.
So so that was pretty embarrassing.
Yeah, I've told a couple of the boys. I'm like, no, I'm like, red, green, colourblind. Like, I'm like, I struggle picking up the red ball. That they're like, oh fuck off, you just like white ball cricket. I'm like, yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah. It's weird to explain that red green, like, you know, how it blends in. Like, they're like, how do you see the traffic lights? Like, I can see red and green, I just can't see them when they're kind of merged in. But yeah, it was. So that was good fun. I've been scoring quite a few runs. I literally get out to the worst player in the team every week. So the opening bowls are, you know, a bit better pace, so I can hit them because I'm quite aggressive. And then as soon as the slow ball comes on, I just swing for the hills and straight up. And every week I've got out to the slowest bowler.
Yeah, that's what I say to a lot of our like twos boys. I'm like, it's tough playing in that grade because everyone's slow. You got to work. I'm like, you would 100% score more runs in prems than you would down there.
Yeah,
and it's like
pitches sometimes aren't as good. And
yeah. Like I know that like when I went from twos to prems, I was like, the ball's actually coming on nice. Like I don't have to. Yeah. It's a bit of a game changer.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, so it's been good. And I just love turning up, not having to worry about running the warm-ups, running the gear, doing the stats. I just literally have a hit, have a beer, and that's it. Yeah. That's so good. After 20, because probably literally after the first 8 or 9 years, I became kind of that guy, you know, the one that runs the team, looks after the selection, does all the coaching and captain and stuff. So it did become a chore the last couple of years, especially like, you know, it's like numbers now, like it's so much harder. Like I think when I first started, if you missed a game for a wedding or something, you're like, what's wrong with you? Now it's like, I got electric ab and then I got this. Yeah. It's like, oh shit. You know, guys probably only play 70% of the games, whereas before it'd be like 99, you know. So yeah, it's been hard work. So it's been nice just to turn up and enjoy the game again.
Yeah.
You know, it's still pretty competitive. Like every team has some good players that play a good level. And then there's just a few old farts and, you know, some average guys. But the other good thing is they all, because it's still player umpires, they all actually know how to umpire and they're actually honest. And you still get the odd thing, but they'll, you know, most of them aren't that serious. Yeah, you're out, mate. Off you go. So that's nice. Because that's the only thing I struggle with at Champs too is now there's so little umpires around. We struggle to get any. And it just seems feral. Like,
did you hear about our twos
a
few weeks? Jesus. We literally had to stop our game.
Oh, yeah, because you guys were on the other field.
Yeah, and the umpires had to go over and... not good.
No, it's not, is it? But it's kind of part of the course now, which is unfortunate. But I reckon almost when this player umpires, you almost need to just go back. It sounds lame, but like kids cricket, like back foot LBW or something, because it would just at least take that out and...
Yeah.
It's just because it just becomes one dodgy one. Oh, that's the standard, is it? And then it's just all on, isn't it?
And like it must suck as a bowler because you almost have to show up and go, okay, well, I've got to accept I'm not bowling anyone out because the guy's standing in front of the sticks and the finger's not going up for LBW. So I've got to get this guy out court. So
yeah, it's brutal.
That would be, but I mean, pretty nice to the batsman if you can stand in front of your sticks.
Yeah.
But no, it's not good. But yeah, there's a few issues around that.
Yeah. I think the umpires need to get paid a bit more too, to be honest.
How much do they get paid?
I think it's bugger all.
Is it like $50 or something?
It's less than minimum wage for sure.
God, that would be punishing.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard enough being in the field for 3
hours.
I
reckon it's worse umpiring it.
Like standing on the spot, no.
It's
no
horrible.
good.
I've had to do it a couple of times and I always feel sore
Yeah.
And just hate doing it. I don't mind the umpiring, but I just hate standing still for that long.
Yeah. And like at least like in the field, like you do 3.5 hours and you're off and you get to bat.
Yeah.
Umpires have to go back for a round two.
Another go, especially on like this time of year when it's 30 plus or nor'west or
yeah. And they're not
or early in the season when it's 12 degrees in Hagley Park.
And they're not typically the fittest blokes. So they're carrying a few extra kegs to to keep that warmth in. Anything else you want to yarn about?
No, I think we covered quite a bit there.
No, it's pretty good, eh?
Yeah.
Be good to go again. I always notice, like, listening back to these, like, especially with, like, Tom Good, eh? Like, he went into, like, so many points.
Yeah.
But, like, just because he's on, like, such a... It's get, like, 15 minutes down the track and you forget about the points. I'm like, I'll have to have him on and go deeper into some of those things.
Yeah, when I had Norm Maxwell on, that was the first one I had where we didn't script much, so I just had like bullet points, and I was trying to like just ask questions on top of what he'd say, but he talked for so long, like he talked for 10-15 minutes, and I'd be like, oh well, that point's gone now because he's moved on to the next thing. I'm like, okay, but yeah, it is tricky, like trying to, I think the flow's been good today, but it can be hard to try and like stay on top of where you're trying to be and cover all the things you want to do. And
well, I think as long as it's like a flowing conversation, it doesn't really matter where it goes.
No, that's true. That's probably the important thing. It's not, and you can, as you say, you can always get them back.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I've been surprised. Like, I've only really been turned down by 2 people, and like when I had Norm Maxwell, he was kind of like a childhood hero. So we were just watching Canterbury versus Auckland game, and they had a flashback, and I thought, oh, he'd be cool to have a podcast. So I just messaged him on Instagram, and he's like, hey,
just simple as that.
Yeah. And he was like, he was living in Spain, and he's like, yeah, just give me the time that suits his time and my time. Yeah, it was good. Like Maz Quinn, never talked to him in my life. He was just like, yeah, no, I've just got nothing else to do.
Like I've always wondered, like, how guys get people on the podcast.
So then all the initial ones, like Robbie From's my neighbour, Todd Astor I coached with a wee bit and just know him through mental skills coaching and stuff. Amy Sathaway I coached a bit when she played indoor cricket. So most of the first ones were just like getting a couple of initial ones that have got a bit of a rep, like if you could get Kenny or something like that have got a bit of rep, then they kind of go, oh yeah, he's, he knows what he's doing, it's not some muppet.
Yeah.
That'll just get you a bit of credit, and then you can kind of go from that. Because it's not, I've only got like 100 subscribers, it's not like heaps or anything, but they'll just, in fact, they don't even ask, they just go, yeah, cool, I'll be on it. I mean, I always laugh, like, because we kind of initially did the podcast because we wanted to get a bit of exposure and hopefully like get a bit of leads from it and stuff, but to be honest, if it made no money at all and we got no leads out of it, it's still cool just to chat to a cool person every month or 2 weeks, or like I'd never talk to Norm Maxwell if that didn't happen. I'd never get to talk to Jimmy or any of these guys, like, so the odd guy that's your mate, but the next ones it's like, even if it cost me money, I'd probably still do it.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing, like I'm not too worried like if people listen to these or not. It's just like about like building connection, like, and like I've never met you, but I can already tell we have a lot in common. It's not going to just be a one-off interaction, it's really cool, and just like I would have never seen myself doing something like this. I've always been quite a shy guy.
I was exactly the same. I hated public speaking. Not that it's public speaking, but it's putting yourself out in front of people, right?
That's the thing, is putting yourself out there. But I'm just like, as long as I'm me and I'm...
Yeah. Well, if people don't want to listen, they'll just stop listening, right?
Exactly,
if you suck, they'll just... Then it'd say, people won't listen if it sucks, and if it's good, people will listen, so happy days.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. I've reached out to a couple guys from like other clubs, like... Yeah. Because like playing club cricket, like... I've never really spoke to guys from other teams.
People don't chat like they used to. No. The after match is not as good as it used to be.
No, and that's something we've
It's good at Masters because they're all old guys.
Right.
They do it.
Yeah.
But I remember it would be real rare for people to stay. Whereas we used to be like, you have to stay for one. Like at least have a chat. Even if you hate them, just have one.
Yeah.
But it's pretty rare now, eh?
Yeah, and that's something we've spoken about as a club, is trying to bring that back a bit. So it's just nice to, and the guys that I have reached out to have been like real responsive.
Oh, sweet.
So going to chat to, is it Cullen
Oh yeah.
Kalan.
Yeah. Kalan. Oh yeah. I used to coach him. Yeah.
Oh, did you?
Good, yeah, he's good. He's good. He'll be interesting actually. He's
yeah,
good. And he's good. He's a good talker, and he's had some good stuff like. And he's a good player. Like he's pretty close to.
When we played him the other week, like I've never seen a guy hit the ball so clean at the top. Like it was just like good cricket shots, but everything was just out of the middle of the bat. I was like, fuck. Yeah.
He's learned a lot. He used to be probably a little bit over outcome driven and a bit perfectionist. He's probably still a little bit like that, but he's pretty driven. Like him and I were hitting probably 2-3 times a week, and then he hit with other guys on top of that, and so he's pretty driven. So him, Ronnie, and Arush, he's probably the most driven out of those three. But they're all decent. They're doing pretty good.
So. Yeah. And then I reached out to Tyler Lorden because I think
he's going alright this year.
Unreal. I want to talk to him about why the fuck he's not playing for Canterbury.
Well, yeah, I think there was I think he might have fell out when he finished up because I don't know. Were you around when was he playing?
No.
So he was contracted but hardly got to go, and I think he just got a bit pissed with it, and then I don't know if it was a falling out, but he just went, well, it's not, because I think it must be tough when you're a fringe guy. And I don't know how much they get paid, but if they're having to... So he contracted, and then maybe if you lose your contract, like you've got to work and try and keep the training up and brutal. So I think he probably just went, I'm not going to make it. Then I'll just
so he actually had a Canterbury contract?
Yeah, he had a contract.
But he never played, did he?
He might have played 1 or 2, but it was bugger all.
Right, yeah. But
he wasn't carving up in cricket like he was now, though. So,
unreal.
He could... I don't know if he'd have another go at it. How old is he, you reckon?
I don't know.
I don't think he's super old. He wouldn't be 30, would he? Or maybe. But he could be.
Even then, I have a problem with that. No.
Well, Michael Hussey did it right
exactly.
from 32 onwards.
Exactly. Fuck, if a
he's
guy...
probably graded the game.
If a guy learns to play cricket at 35, and he...
and he's fit, and it's a batter, right? So.
Yeah. And it was it Misbah al-Haq or Yunus Khan who was still scoring test tons at 42?
Well, Jim Anderson's playing pace at 40.
I just don't buy into the typical age brackets of athletes, and I feel like their lifespans can be extended, especially if you develop late and you haven't had 15 years of cricket, of intense cricket behind you. So it'd just be interesting to talk to guys like that and see what the story is. I'd be interested to talk to someone from, I don't know who runs Metro Cricket, but I've got a few qualms with the 2020 competition this year fucked me off. Nothing else. 3 games. Yeah, right. What's the point?
Yeah. Well, it's tough for them, I think, because a lot of people hate it and don't want to play it at all.
Don't like playing T20. That's not
and then that ticks the box for them, and then the ones that want to play it gets a shit version of it. So it's it's lose. But I think they cut back a lot of people. There's a lot of people doing too many jobs there at the moment, right. What I see. Kieran Ambler and Mike Harvey are the main, and Murdoch are the main guys. But there used to be way more people than that.
Right.
And they had, just one hat on. Now they've got 2 or 3, so it's pretty tough. Because they're all good blokes. I know all of them really well. I just think they've got a lot on the plate.
Right, yeah. They're I don't know any...
They're spread thin,
Yeah, I don't know.
That's how I see it.
Any of the backstories or anything, but as a player, I'm
Well, Kieran used to play for East Shirley. He's gun.
Right. Yeah.
He was East Shirley.
I think I might have worked with him briefly because I did a placement at Canterbury Cricket when I was at uni, and that's how I actually met Kenny. We were going out into schools doing a bit of coaching there. Right. But I don't know how it's all run. But as a player, it's just a bit disappointing going from 8 or 10 games or whatever we played last year to 3. I'm
Was it 2 pools and then just finals?
Yeah. And I think in those, we lost one of them on the last ball.
And T20,
we tied one of them.
T20, to get it to be fair, you do have to play a few because there's so many games that can just fall on one innings or a good spell, and it turns on its head. It doesn't mean you're the best side.
Well, I don't even think you need to play Saturday T20s. Most teams train Tuesday, Thursday. Why can't we just play Thursday T20s?
Yeah, just play a couple extra.
I'd rather go and play a T20 than go to training. So, but it's I'd never even considered guys not wanting to play T20, so that's something I haven't thought about. So,
well, I don't know. I think people would, if it was Thursday, and because I think they'd rather play on Saturday play something else.
Yeah.
But if it was not taking away from your Saturday, they might. So,
Yeah.
Don't know.
Yeah. Just different things to consider. But it'll be interesting to see what they do next year with the competition.
Yeah. I think there's chat about trying to bring in. There was for a while about bringing in 10 teams, which I don't know if it's a great idea because it'll just water it down. But trying to make it so, because it's tough for you guys not having a champs, you know.
Yeah.
And then same with Rick's, they've got champs Div 1. And then like Maryvale, Prem and Div 2, it's like that's massive. Like I don't know how teams can. You can't pick up fringe guys because no one wants to play Div 2 if they're a Premier player.
No.
So I think they're trying to improve that, but I don't know. It's tough. They've only had promotion relegation for probably 5 or 6 years, I think now. So before it was just that's Prems, that's champs, and then you could just apply to go up the grades. Like that's how Heathcote got in. They didn't. No, maybe they were maybe the first to get promoted as in that system, but yeah, I don't know, it's tough.
There's probably a lot of moving parts that I haven't considered.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to sit down and talk to one of those guys about it. Yeah. No, thanks for coming on, Dan. It's been bloody good.
All good.
Cheers.
Cheers.